Hey everyone, it's Shaf, aka ThatMillGuy, coming at you with my personal reaction to the January 13th, 2020 banned and restricted announcement for Magic the Gathering, of course. And what we're going to be doing is taking this from obviously a mill perspective. I am ThatMillGuy. So we're going to be initially starting off with talking about what got banned and why from a player perspective. If you want to look at it from a mothership perspective, go read the article, link down below, of course, and what that means for mill, like why these cards being banned are good for mill, right? And then we're going to go into a second section, just generally looking at what the format's going to change in terms of like moving forward, what are some of my predictions, and some things that maybe change in terms of our deck construction for our mill decks, okay? So before we do that, quick shout out to the Patreon. Of course, all my Patreon subscribers helping keep the quality high and the lights on. And of course, my Patreon subscribers will eventually be getting some foil Heejin crabs and a bunch of other perks. So if you wanted a chance to do that, link down below, join my Patreon. Now, let's get right to it with our first section. Let's talk about what got banned in Modern. So, Oko Thief of Crowns, Karn Lattice, and Mox Opal. Those are the ended cards in the Modern format. So from the top, okay, we're going to start with Karn Lattice, the kind of questionable one. So what Karn Lattice does is, I think what the reason it was ending is because it provided Tron and the Eldrazi Tron decks and a lot of the big mana decks that can reasonably get out 6 mana, even the Titan decks, an instant win condition, essentially. If your opponent had no board presence, done, right? Karn Lattice didn't do anything against a board full of creatures, but against an empty board, it did wonders. So removing that instant win condition from a lot of these Tron decks is going to remove a lot of the feel bads, and Karn the Great Creator is going to lose a lot of its playability options. Now, this is great for us as a mill perspective because now this beats the Eldrazi Tron decks. The Eldrazi Tron decks have notably been a tier 2 matchup, or sorry, a tier 2 deck for a very long time. It was a very bad creature beatdown plan and a very bad big mana deck, so there was no real point in playing it, but Karn the Great Creator provided this deck with a massive resurgence in playability, giving it a win more, an instant win condition, and a control piece in Karn the Great Creator. And now that instant win condition is gone, we will definitely be seeing a large dip in Eldrazi Tron, one of Mill's more worse matchups, okay? So get ready for a lack of Chalice of the Void. Next up, we have Mox Opal. Mox Opal has been notably being called for a ban for a very long time, right? It's just been overshadowed in the past year or so with the Hogak Menace, Eldrazi Winter the year before, or whenever it was, and then finally Oko Thief of Crowns, which we'll talk about in a second. But Mox Opal, from a player's perspective, it makes sense to ban just because it's similar to the Faithless Looting ban in the sense that Faithless Looting being present made graveyards difficult to design from an R&D perspective, and now Mox Opal is similar, in my opinion, just because it made artifacts very difficult to design. The lower costed artifacts always had to keep in mind the Mox Opal decks that can cheat out these artifacts very quickly. How broken does that make it? So it makes obviously cards like Emery a lot more powerful. So because of this, we will definitely be seeing a dip in anything artifact based. So the affinity based matchups will definitely see a decrease, and of course the Urza decks will see a massive decrease in consistency and power and speed, which is in the end great for us, right? Finally, the last card is Oko Thief of Crowns. We've been calling for this ban for a while. I've had a lot of individuals tell me that they don't think that the Oko matchups are particularly bad for us, and I'm sorry. What that shows is just a lack of matches against Oko. You will find that the more, I find that like a lot of those individuals tend to be playing a lot more paper Magic. Trust me, you play a lot of online Magic because you just get a lot more reps in with your games. You will find that Oko is a terrible card for Mill. It provides this clock that you cannot beat. Even if you're playing something like Sultai Mill and having that permanent base removal, trust me, wasting 2-3 mana, whatever it is, just to kill an Oko and then lose to the rest of your opponent's plan in the case of the Urza decks, or if you're playing a control deck where you can sometimes never get your removal off on the Oko, it's not a good spot to be in, okay? Trust me, Oko was bad news. It's glad, you know, sorry, I should say we're all glad that it's finally gone, okay? So you'll see 5 out of the top 10 decks disappear. You know, the banned control decks, the snow control decks, the Urza decks running it, and now Simic Titan isn't even an archetype anymore. Titan will go back to being its combo side, which is better for us. It makes the deck more fragile, and again, removes a lot of the mid-range and control matchups, which tended to be a little bit more 50-50 to unfavored for us. So all in all, meta is shifting in favor for us in terms of mill. Now, as we sleeve and put away our foil Hercules recalls. I will miss it. I will miss it. We will be looking into the next section as to my predictions for the meta moving forward and what can we look forward to. So obviously Mill will definitely see a huge rise. We lose the consistency of the mid-range decks, so that's great. Hopefully we will be seeing a lot more linearity in the format, which is not great for the rest of the modern metagame, but unfortunately linear metagames are where modern Mill succeeds, I should say. But initially what's going to be happening is you're going to be seeing a lot of infect and a lot of burn, and a lot more of the consistent decks like humans and Death Shadow, whatever it is, decks that tend to strive in these metas that are uncertain. Okay, so especially in your local meta or more so an MTGO, be very careful. Maybe play more Leyline of Sanctities and play more fatal pushes in the main board, whatever it is. You're going to be seeing these decks that have these very linear plans that are going to, get you to zero, get you to death very quickly. And once the metal settles, what I predict is that we're going to see a rise in the creature-based strategies because Oko is gone. So expect humans to make a huge rise and maybe some more tribal decks. So play more of your fatal pushes. And this could potentially mean with the rise of the tribal decks and the decrease of E-Tron that now instead of playing board wipes, we go back to playing Plague Engineer. That's right. So Plague Engineer, I think, will make a big comeback in Mill sideboards. But what this means is with the tribal strategies up, we will also see the rise of one of our worst matchups, Jund. So a lot of the removal-based strategies and some of the control decks will definitely be seeing a bit of a rise. Okay, so be careful with that. Bring back your Mesmeric Orbs and your Ensnaring Bridges because both are good again. One thing to remember is that, especially in that burn matchup, as we see a burn as a rise, you will see a decrease in smash to smithereens. Okay, with the decrease of artifacts in general in the meta, we will see a rise in Searing Blood in the sideboard of these burn decks. And so now Mesmeric Orb and Snaring Bridge become good pieces to keep in against these burn decks again. So small things to keep in mind. Okay, so again, my final predictions going into this new meta, we will see a rise in Jund, burn, a lot of creature decks thanks to Oko. We will see a decrease in Eldrazi Tron for sure. We will see a slight decrease in Tron, and of course a rise in some of the big mana decks, especially with the introduction of Theros and some of the cards that Titan Shift and a lot of the Titan decks are getting. So be careful about that for sure. But with that, that's all I want to talk about. If there's anything that I missed that you want to talk about yourself, please comment down below. Let me know what you think. Okay, let me know how you feel about the banning restricted announcement. Were you happy that Oko is gone? Were you happy about the Mox Opal banning? Let me know. And with that in mind, I want to remind everyone that even the impossible is possible. And of course, as we ponder that thought, please remember to join me next time as we take a glimpse into the unthinkable.